Good evening, guys, and welcome to the Judge's Scorecard. I'm your host, Christopher the Judge Dove. I'd like to tell everybody out there happy holidays and Merry Christmas. We're going to start off this week with a recap of last week. UFC Fight Night, Wonderboy Thompson and Kevin Holland. We went 9-5 on the overall predictions. In the bets, we went 3-2. We profited $150. That brings our bankroll all the way up to $790. So we started with 500. We are now up 58%. Bankroll is at $790, and we're going to get into this week's bets. All right, guys. So for UFC 282, this part we have all of our bets for this week. This is the last pay-per-view event of the year. I think it's a really killer card. I like a lot of underdogs on the card, which is why we're going with 6 bets, kind of spread it out a little bit this week. For bet number 1, we're going with fight number 1, and we're going with Steven Kozlow, and that's $50 to get us back $165. He's making his UFC debut. He has 6 wins in his professional career, all by submission. I'm always going to be with a guy who's got all wins by submission. For bet number 2, we are going with my favorite UFC fighter, and that's Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell. He's been my favorite for a while now, so we definitely got to have a wager on him, and that's going to be $50 to get us back $105. For bet number 3, we are going with our underdog of the week. So far, we are 3-0 with this bet, looking to make it 4-0. This is actually my favorite bet on the card. So we definitely are looking to stay hot with these underdogs. This week, we're going with Darren Till. That's $100 to get us back $255. So that's Darren Till plus 155. He's lost 4 out of his last 5 fights, and I believe this is an absolute must-win for him. I like guys in this position. And I think with this much pressure that this is an absolute must-win for him. One of my favorite angles in UFC betting is to have that guy who's kind of backed into a corner in a position that he has to win. This is that position for Darren Till. So with that, he is definitely our favorite underdog of the week. I also think he wins by knockout. For bet number 4, we're going with a 2-fight parlay, and that's going to be Vinicius Salvador and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. That's $100 to get us back $233. For bet number 5, we're going with another 2-fight parlay. This one, we are going with the main event and the co-main event. For that, we're doing a $100 2-fight parlay, which is Magomed Ankalaev and Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. That's $100 to get us $193. For our 6th and final bet, this is our bankroll builder bet. This has also been a popular one for us, 3-0, looking to make it 4-0 with this one as well. For this one, it's a 2-fight parlay. It's actually going to be a $200 wager. So for $200, we're doing Paddy the Baddy Pimblett and Edmund Shahbazyan, and that's going to be $200 to get us back $369. For our full fight predictions, we're going to give you the winner for each fight, along with the method in which we think they're going to win with. So first up, for our first fight, we have Steven Kozlow making his UFC debut, and we have Kozlow as a pretty big underdog, and we also have him to continue his submission streak. He's got 6 wins in a row by submission. We're looking for him to get win number 7 here as a big dog to start the card. Next up, we have Vinicius Salvador. We have Salvador by decision. Then we have Downtown TJ Brown. This fight's virtually a pick'em. We have TJ Brown by knockout. The Ovens fight has been canceled. He had 3 different opponents. They all keep backing out, so no Ovens this week. Next up, we've got Billy Quintrillo. We've got Billy Q by decision. Following that up with Chris Curtis, the Action Man. This fight, Chris is a small underdog. We do like a lot of underdogs on this card. We're going to go with the Action Man to get the win by decision. One of the bigger favorites next is Edmund Shahbazyan. I think he's a good parlay builder. You could throw him on a lot of different tickets. I think he's one of the safest bets on this week's card. Next, we have the 18-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. making his UFC debut, one of the youngest fighters, if not the youngest fighter in UFC history. I think he gets the win by knockout. Next, in the heavyweight fight, we have Jairzinho Rozenstruik. We have Rozenstruik by knockout. I believe this fight is under 1.5 as well. Then we have Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, my favorite grappler in the game. We have Bryce Mitchell as an underdog to win by submission. Then our favorite underdog on the card is Darren Till. Like I said earlier, this is a must-win for him. We have Darren Till to win by knockout. In the co-main event, we're going with Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I think he's getting that old UFC push definitely has everybody behind him, and I think he'll continue to keep climbing. So I think Paddy the Baddy wins pretty easily. I do like him to win by submission, and definitely not to go the distance. For the main event, we have Magomed Ankalaev. We have Ankalaev by knockout. I don't think Blachowicz is, I think his best days are behind him. I think the 39-year-old is kind of nearing the end. I don't think he'll get too many more shots at big fights like this. And I think Ankalaev gets it done in under 2.5 rounds. So just a couple things for you guys. First off, one of the tips that I want to give you guys in UFC betting, generally as the week goes on, the favorites become bigger favorites, which makes the dogs become bigger dogs. If you do like an underdog, it's best to wait as late as possible to make the bet. If you like the favorite, I think it's better to make that bet earlier in the week. So lots of times you'll see, if you track odds starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or even before, you'll see some of those favorites that start at 220 drift up to 300. The ones that start at 360 drift up to 580, and so on and so forth. So obviously that works in inverse when you like the underdog. So wait as long as possible. On this week's card, we do like a lot of underdogs, so I would recommend waiting as long as possible to bet. If you're going with someone like Paddy the Baddy, I see these odds drifting up all week long, so I would definitely take those odds a lot sooner. We always appreciate the support on TikTok. Please subscribe on YouTube, give us a like, share us with your friends. So far, all this content that we're giving out, all these winners and underdogs that we're giving out, all this is free, so please share it. We're trying to build a solid following. Everything you can do, we definitely appreciate it. So far, through 3 weeks, we are up 58%. So our goal is to just keep building that bankroll. We started with 500. We're up to 790. That's a relative thing. Some of you guys out there have asked questions. You don't have to start with a $500 bankroll. It's all relative. You could start with 50. You could start with 5,000. The percentage is the percentage. So far, wherever you started at, if you followed us from the beginning 3 weeks ago, we're up 58%. So we look to continue growing and building that as we continue to grow and build our following as well. A little bit of a look at UFC 282. This is the last pay-per-view fight of the year. I think this is a very underrated card. It's caught a lot of grief for guys canceling fights, canceling opponents. There's been a lot of changes to this card. But when you really look at it, it's a very deep card. We also like a ton of underdogs on this card. And there's a lot of guys with, it's do or die. Darren Till, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Downtown TJ Brown. These are must-win fights for these guys. And then you've also got the up-and-coming prospect, Rosas. We also have Steven Kozlow making his UFC debut. That's a guy I really like moving forward. Then you have Darren Till. It's a must-win for him. Billy Q needs to get things going for sure. Paddy the Baddy. He's the guy who's getting the big push. It's him and O'Malley that Dana's counting on to carry the promotion going forward. So you get him as a co-main event. For the main event, we have Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev. We like Ankalaev, but I do not think this will be that bloodbath of a fight. I think this overall, this will be a very boring fight. I think that Ankalaev is going to be very, very patient. And I think that Blachowicz is kind of done. I think Ankalaev wears him down and eventually gets this win. Not too much fun to watch, but gets it done inside the distance.